Everything that exists has a natural life cycle. Everything is born, lives, and dies. Animals, plants, processes, and even humans. That's the natural way things usually go. We've all encountered plenty of occasions when the world was supposed to end. Whether it's from a religious point of view or as a result of a natural catastrophe, the predictions always failed. Although all the previous predictions failed to end the world, we can't ever be sure that the future ones won't either. Since everything has its beginning and end, humanity must end at some point too. But is that going to be sooner than we think it will be? Is the asteroid Apophis going to hit our planet in 2029? There have been a lot of predicted events that were supposed to bring our planet to the end of our journey. One of the earliest documented end-of-the-world predictions happened in 66 to 70 AD, when the Jewish Essene sect of ascetics thought that the uprising that the Jewish people did against the Romans in that period in Judea was the final battle. They believed that the Messiah would arrive, signifying the end of the world. There are over 180 cataclysmic events predicted that have been documented, and yet we're still here. One of the most recent events when the world was supposed to end, which was really feared and anticipated, was 21 December 2012. This day was connected to a lot of eschatological beliefs, which are the beliefs connected to the final events of the world according to theology. The date was thought to be either the day when the world ends or the day when the process of the end of the world will start. One of the biggest reasons behind these beliefs was the end of the Mesoamerican long count calendar, which ended on 21 December 2012 after 5,126 years. The countries that were a part of the Mayan civilization, such as Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras, had events to commemorate the end of the world on this day. Some interpretations from the New Age went in a different direction, stating that this date would be the start of a new era and that it will bring positive transformation upon the world. However, most of the scenarios included catastrophic endings, such as a black hole swallowing the Earth or a collision between the Earth and a planet called Nibiru. Of course, nothing of the kind happened, and here we are years later discussing these events. When talking about the end of the world and all the possible ways it could happen, we should not forget about the asteroid that already hit the Earth around 66 million years ago and was responsible for the extinction of the dinosaurs. The asteroid caused a mass extinction in which not only the dinosaurs died, but up to 75% of all the animals and plants on the planet at that time. The crater that the asteroid left on impact is located in Mexico underneath the Yucatan Peninsula, and it's called the Chicxulub crater after a town nearby. According to this crater, the asteroid or comet that hit the Earth all those years back was around 10 to 15 kilometers in diameter, and it did a devastating damage to our planet. The crater itself is around 150 kilometers in diameter and around 20 kilometers deep. The event was called the Cretaceous Paleogene Extinction Event, and the crater is the second largest crater on Earth after the Vredefort crater that is 160 kilometers in diameter. But what actually happened when the asteroid hit the Earth? The force with which it hit the planet, according to scientists, was about 10 billion Hiroshima bombs, causing devastating events. First of all, the impact most likely caused a mega tsunami that was more than 100 meters high, and it would have reached to Texas or Florida nowadays. The only reason that this mega tsunami was not higher is that the impact was in fairly shallow waters. Otherwise, the height of the waves would have reached up to 4.6 kilometers. After the initial impact, a big cloud with heated dust, ash, and steam spread all over the Earth and stayed at the surface for many years, or possibly decades, making life extremely difficult for all the living things on Earth. This impact probably started a chain of events that caused horrifying wildfires, earthquakes, and volcanic eruptions, making the conditions for getting out of this alive even harder. Around the perimeter of the impact, all animals died quickly and were buried under the debris. Over more than a decade, the sunlight wasn't able to reach the surface of the Earth due to the thick clouds of particles in the atmosphere. The surface of the Earth, as a result, cooled down dramatically, and photosynthesis of plants was interrupted, which affected the whole food chain for the small percent of animals that survived the impact. This event had a lot of consequences on the Earth and the evolution, arguably. Some paleontologists say that the impact speeded up the evolution of some birds, since those were the only ones that survived the impact from the dinosaur family tree. The only birds that didn't die out after the impact were ground dwellers such as ancient ostriches, chickens, and ducks. Surviving in those conditions made them evolve closer to the modern version of the birds that we know now. That period was surely a very chaotic, scary, and deadly time for the Earth and all of its inhabitants. And since we know the effects that this impact and others had on life, it's only natural to be scared of future impacts. The fear arose in 2004 when employees from the Kitt Peak National Observatory discovered an asteroid that they thought had a possibility to collide with the Earth in the future. The asteroid got the name Apophis, which is a Greek name of the enemy of the sun god Ra, according to the Greek mythology. The asteroid was estimated to be 450 meters in diameter at first, but then a year later they improved their observation and saw that the correct size was around 350 meters in diameter. In 2014, the diameter was estimated to be 370 meters more specifically. Since the asteroid orbits in proximity to our planet, after its passing close to Earth in 2004, it's expected to again pass at 2029. This caused concern since the probability of impact was estimated to be around 2.7% back in 2004. In 2006, the scientists discovered that if the impact won't happen in 2029, Apophis will pass through a gravitational keyhole and would set up a future impact that is expected to happen 7 years later in 2036. Astronomers made calculations that the asteroid will pass very close to Earth, and that due to that proximity, the orbit of the asteroid will be altered. This could potentially mean that the asteroid could impact Earth sometimes in the future. Regardless of the exact year of the impact, we can't help but wonder what would happen if this asteroid actually hit the Earth. Earlier when we were talking about the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs, we said that it was a pretty big one with a diameter of 10 to 15 kilometers. Compared to that one, Apophis is a much smaller asteroid with 370 meters in diameter. So right off the bat, we can say that if the Earth survived that huge asteroid, it will survive Apophis too. However, there will be consequences, and people, animals, and plants will die. Apophis weighs around 27 billion kilograms, and if it hits the Earth, it will leave a crater that will be around 518 meters deep. The strength of the impact is the thing that worries us the most. It would be equivalent to a detonation of 880 million tons of TNT at the same time, which would be around 65,000 times more powerful than the nuclear bomb detonated in Hiroshima. According to Alberto Salino of the Italian Observatory of Turin, we can rule out a collision at the next closest approach with the Earth. But then the orbit will change in a way that is not fully predictable just now, so we cannot predict the behavior on a longer timescale. So if the impact happens, the consequences would differ according to the place in which the impact happened. According to Robert Walker, who is an astronomer, computer programmer, and inventor, the consequences would be devastating. He said that the people that are near the place of impact would die immediately, but humanity as a whole would for sure survive this tragic event. If the asteroid hit in water, it would cause a huge tsunami that would probably kill millions of people, especially if it hit somewhere near a populated place. If Apophis hit on land, it would make a huge crater approximately 10 times larger than the diameter of the asteroid, which could also end up killing lots of people if the impact happens in a populated area. The best version would be if the asteroid hit a remote place like a desert or ice where humans are not living. The mortality rates would be lowest in this best case scenario. Roberto also points out that even though such an event would be a major disaster, the impact wouldn't be strong enough to cause rising of a cloud of debris and dust so thick that the sunlight would be blocked out, as it happened when the big asteroid that killed the dinosaurs did. This is a very good thing, because it wouldn't cause a mass dying off of plants, animals, and people. He also adds that this would not have long-term global effects. Most recent information, such as the observations in 2014 calculated by JPL Century risk table, is 1 in 150,000. As of March this year, there were 7 asteroids that had a higher chance of doing damage to Earth than Apophis. Although we can't be 100% sure that Apophis will not impact the Earth in the future, the probability of this happening is very, very small. However, we will still witness what will happen in 2029 for sure. Until then, we're safe from Apophis at least. We better keep on living our life with a reminder that we are very fragile and appreciate every day as if it were our last. Because it just might be. If you enjoyed this video, then why not subscribe? Hit that bell icon as well so you're more likely to get notified of our noble answers to your burning questions. Also, if you have any questions you want answered, make sure to tell me in the comments section down below. And to keep filling your brain with regal knowledge, check out these videos here. They're magnificent.